Hello and welcome to another episode of the Common Man's Take on Sports with Kevin and Quentin. Quentin will not be here today, but I would like to cover a couple of topics. One is the Michigan State scandal that is going on right now. So, as I look at this, I don't know if what's going on with Mel Tucker. I don't know if he's guilty or not. That's not what I want to talk about today. What I want to talk about is the fact that once again, in as many years, Michigan State finds itself in the middle of another scandal. If you go back to the Mark Dantonio tenure that ended in 2019, there were several times that there were players who were involved in sexual assault issues, and then Mark D'Antoni they actually found out that some of that was being covered up by the Michigan State College. And there was some basketball players too. Let's not act like that they're not innocent too. There's some basketball players who are accused of sexual misconduct while playing in the tournament. This is a common theme at Michigan State, and now you see their head coach Mel Tucker is now involved in a sexual harassment problem with Miss Brenda Tracy. For those of you who don't know who Brenda Tracy is, she's the lady that has been going around to the different colleges bringing awareness to sexual assaults that happen on campus and trying to, make sure that athletes are just aware, to respect the other gender, right? And so she's been doing this for a while now. She's been to several colleges over the years. She's been to some colleges more than once to give her class. And so now she's alleging that Mel Tucker did some things that weren't. She's accusing him of sexual harassment. I'm not going to go into the details. You can read those. There's all over the internet in any story. But this is a culture problem at Michigan State. You have the sexual assault stuff that happened with players under D'Antonio that was covered up and then found out about. Came to light through the media. Then that was ultimately why he was let go, even though they said that he retired. All those scandals that were going on in his tenure, they told him it was time to go. They forced him out, and then they hired Mel Tucker. And so last year you had the scuffle in the tunnel with the two Michigan players. Basically 11 or 12 Michigan State players jumped the two Michigan players in the tunnel. And now you have this. Now their coach is embroiled in a sexual harassment case. And there's a lot of he said, she said going on. I don't know if Mel Tucker's guilty or not, but my point is, once again, Michigan State finds itself in the middle of a controversy that's circled around some sort of sexual harassment or sexual assault. So this is clearly a culture problem. It has to be a culture problem. And so when, as a college, do you step back and go, okay, we have a culture problem here. We need to fix it. We need to sit down and figure out how to fix this problem. And so my other question is, you have the NCAA out here hammering people for buying recruits cheeseburgers on recruiting visits, $20 cheeseburgers, and deeming other athletes who transfer due to mental stability ineligible to play college sports. But you're turning a blind eye to all the nonsense that's been going on at Michigan State for years. And you're talking probably the last, 8 years, 6 to 8 years. All this nonsense has been going on back to back to back to back to back. And the NCAA is not doing anything about it. Like, when is the NCAA, if you're so worried about, the student athlete then why are you not stepping in, telling this university, hey, you guys are not handling this correctly. Either get it right or we will step in and get it right for you. But yet, instead of doing that, they're turning a blind eye and they're worried about people buying cheeseburgers for recruits or watching recruits doing leg lifts on Zoom videos. And then worried about athletes who transfer too many times due to mental illness. That's what they're worried about. That's what the NCAA is worried about. That's their major, concerns. Not this obvious culture problem going on at a university that is detrimental to student athletes, right? Detrimental. And yet the NCAA is not worried about it. They're ignoring it. They're turning a blind eye, pretending like it's not even happening. So once again, here's the NCAA with their priorities. Man, their priorities backwards. They don't care about the student athlete. They never did. They care about making money off the student athlete. That's what the NCAA cares about. They don't care about anything else. They don't care about, taking care of the student athlete. And so somebody needs to step in and fix this cultural problem at Michigan State. The other problem is, just like before, Michigan State. So Brenda Tracy put her discrepancy in December of 2022, right? December of last year. And so the university investigated it under Title IX, which is what they should have done, but they kept it under wraps. They kept it secret. And so some people will say, well, that's what they're supposed to do. They're not supposed to say anything until one of them goes public about, the investigation. Well, that's fine, but they didn't suspend the coach pending the outcome of the investigation, right? And so they're like, well, they couldn't say anything. Well, that's not true, because, they could have put Mel Tucker on administrative leave and just release a statement saying Mel Tucker, the head coach of the Michigan State football program, will be on administrative leave until further notice, pending on the outcome of an investigation and a formal hearing. And if the media asks, well, what's he on administrative leave for? We cannot release a statement on what the administrative leave is for due to the ongoing investigation. We cannot release any details into the investigation until the formal review has been completed. That's all they would have had to say, and left it at that. And then whatever happened after that happened. But no, instead of that, they keep it a secret, and they only suspended Mel Tucker on Sunday when the investigation became public, and they received a ton of backlash for allowing him to coach the first 2 games of the season, knowing that he was under investigation for these sexual harassment charges. Once again, Michigan State sweeping something under the carpet and only doing something about it when it becomes public. Again, culture problem. It's a culture problem, and it goes from top to bottom. If you need to clean out that university leadership and start over, then maybe that's what you need to do. I think Michigan State is a good program, but at the moment, they need to clean house. They need to. I'm not saying fire the coach. I'm talking about, the people at the top. If it's the athletic director, the president, university president, whatever it takes to change that culture, you need to do it to change that culture, right? Maybe Mel Tucker comes out of this and he's right. It was consensual. And she's not being fully truthful about what was going on. I'm sure all that'll come out in the formal hearing. Or maybe he's lying and she's telling the truth. Either way, the sexual harassment charges are just another thing that's happened at Michigan State that proves they have a culture problem there that needs to be fixed. And the university obviously is not doing the right things to fix it. So somebody needs to step in to tell them, hey, you need to fix this problem. This will not be tolerated going forward. Well, one time it happens, you're like, okay, it's a one-off thing. It happened. The university took care of it. But this is an ongoing thing. This keeps happening at this university. Again, they had the incidents with the basketball program for sexual assault. They had incidents with the football program for sexual assault. And now you have a coach under investigation for sexual harassment. When does it end? When do they take care of this problem? When does the NCAA step in and go, you know what? There's student safety at risk here. Somebody needs to do something to stop this. Somebody needs some oversight on this. So once again, another instance where the NCAA is missing the mark and worried about the wrong thing and has their priorities in the wrong place. They look silly. Once again, the NCAA looks silly. And this college, Michigan State, looks bad. This is bad press for them. This is a bad look for them. Because again, it's something else dealing with the same problem. And again, this is not saying that I think Mel Tucker is guilty. I have no idea because, her lawyers and her side are saying one thing, his lawyers and his side are saying something else. So it's a shame that he got himself wrapped up in this, because it is sad, and I hope the truth comes out one way or the other, whether he's telling the truth or she is. I hope that the truth does come out on which side is which. But even at the end of the day, even if Mel Tucker comes out as innocent and these claims are false, it still shows a pattern, right? It still shows a pattern. They still have a problem there that they need to address and they need to fix. So that's all that I'm going to say about that. If some of you listeners have an opinion or something you want to offer up, please go over to our Facebook page and drop your comments there. And let me know what you think about this whole thing that's going on with Michigan State. So that's all that I'm going to say about that. They have a culture problem there that needs to be fixed. Whether the NCAA needs to step in or whether the Title IX needs to go further and say, hey, this is too many incidents. Now we're going to take over and we're going to fix this program. Somebody needs to step in because the university obviously isn't doing a good enough job to fix their program. So somebody needs to step in and fix that program. However they do it. They need to do the right thing here and show that they're truly worried about doing the right thing and truly worried about the student athletes and what's going on here. So that's all I have to say about that. I'm not going to continue to beat a dead horse here, but something's wrong with that university and it needs to be fixed. Somebody needs to step in to fix it the right way. Let's talk about a couple of significant injuries in week 1 of the NFL. Aaron Rodgers last night got carted off with an ankle injury. Turns out this morning he tore his Achilles. So he's probably out for the rest of the season. And you have J.K. Dobbins for Baltimore. Once again, he was one of the running backs wrapped up in that group that was asking for more money. And unfortunately for him, he suffered a season-ending injury in Game 1 on Sunday where he tore his Achilles also. And that's unfortunate for him because I think the running backs have a valid case with the fact that they're being devalued. Unfortunately, for him, this kind of kills his case because once again, he's going to miss a season of football. He's only had one healthy season, his rookie season, and every other year he's been injured or recovering from an injury. So that's unfortunate for J.K. Dobbins. Before he got hurt, he had a good showing. He looked explosive. He looked like they owed him from his rookie season. And it's just unfortunate that it happened to him again. And so this is what we talk about, for for the football players. Obviously, football is a much more dangerous sport than some of the other sports out there, like basketball or baseball. And so this is why some of the NFL teams are hesitant to pay the players. Yeah, the players, when they're healthy and honored, are worth the money. But then you have this where J.K. Dobbins hasn't had a healthy season since his rookie year, and it's sad. It's a shame because I thought he was a good running back and he had a bright future ahead of him. But he may have to retire early just due to injuries. It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate for him. It's unfortunate for the Ravens. Same thing for the Jets. They gave up all that for Aaron Rodgers in that trade, and he's probably going to miss the rest of the season. And it's unfortunate because they had high hopes for themselves. Maybe Zach Wilson makes that leap forward because of the whole Aaron Rodgers trade. Maybe that woke him up a little bit, made him realize his job wasn't safe. But you think about, this is another time where you think about what could have been if Aaron Rodgers was healthy, if the Jets fall short of their expectations. Right? This is one of those times where you think about, man, what if Rodgers would have stayed healthy? Would they have been, a Super Bowl contender if they don't make it, or what if they miss the playoffs? Would they have made the playoffs with Rodgers? So it's unfortunate for those injuries. This is why teams are hesitant to give guaranteed money to certain players. You look at stuff like that, injury history. That's why Delvin Cook had trouble finding somebody who wanted to pay him what he was looking for, just because of injury history. He's had, like J.K. Dobbins, he's had one full injury-free season. That was last year, since 2016. And it's a shame, but that's just the way that it goes, right? It's a business, and the business is always going to do what's best for the business. So hopefully Dalvin Cook doesn't suffer the same fate as Aaron Rodgers and J.K. Dobbins. Hopefully he can stay healthy and earn that paycheck, next year. But for now, it's always one of those things that teams have to be wary of. I'm an advocate for players getting paid. They deserve it. They put their body, especially in football, they put their body on the line. There's a lot of hard hits. It's a very physical sport. Those players deserve to be paid as such, playing a physical sport like that. But on the other hand, you can't pay everybody, right? So you got to decide, what's the one position that, we can kind of piece together here and there, and maybe not commit that guaranteed money or that money to. And for now, it's been the running back position, due to the significant injuries there. So you want your favorite team to win, right? They can't sink all that money into somebody who's not going to play, or who might be injured a lot, who has a long injury history, because then you're just sinking dead money into somebody who's not even going to be on the field to help you win games, right? So I can see both sides of it, the team side and the player side. But there's a happy medium there that you can find where both the player gets paid, a decent value, plus the team doesn't sink too much significant money into one player that, gets hurt, and then your season's over. There's a happy medium you can find. Other sports have found it: baseball, basketball. So NFL's just got to find that happy medium between paying players and taking care of the team and making sure they're set up to win, right, and succeed in the future. So I think it's unfortunate for those injuries. I'll say the 49ers look good. 49ers look like the team to beat right now. They had a great defense. Their offense is set up for Brock Purdy to succeed, which is good for him. So, we'll see what happens. Cowboys look good, but you're always worried about, trusting in the Cowboys, because One week they look good, the next week they do not. So they did look good, that 40-0 win against the Giants. I thought they would beat the Giants because I thought they were better than Giants. I think the Giants are vastly overrated. I think Daniel Jones is overrated. He hasn't shown me anything since he's been in the league. The Giants, just I don't know. I just don't trust them. I don't think they're that good. But we'll talk about those week 1 results in another podcast. For now, I just kind of wanted to cover that Michigan State issue that's going on down there. It's just, it's a shame that they can't get it right. And it's a shame that they can't fix that one problem, you know. It's a shame for that college, the student athletes there, the students there, you know, the regular students there. It's just a shame that they can't get that right and fix their problem. Hopefully they can get that problem fixed, and you know, moving forward, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens with the NFL moving forward with some of these injuries in week 1. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. I still think Baltimore is okay. Even losing J.K. Dobbins, they still have Gus Edwards, who's a good running back. And they have Justice Hill, who I think is a good running back. He scored 2 touchdowns in that game in the absence of Dobbins. And then I'm pretty sure they still have Melvin Gordon on the practice squad, who they could elevate for a third guy to rotate out. So even without Dobbins, I think that the Ravens will be fine. I mean, you still have Lamar Jackson, who contributes to the run game also. So for them, you know, losing J.K. is not a huge problem, I don't think, and I don't foresee. I think they'll be fine there. The only time that's going to become a problem for them is if Gus Edwards gets hurt. If they continue to have injuries like that, Gus Edwards, Justin Hill both get hurt, then they're going to be, you know, scraped at the bottom of the barrel for running backs. But I think they'll be fine for now. Their receivers looked good in that game. Odell Beckham Jr. is quiet, but when they needed him to, he made a huge catch. You know, Rashad Bateman had a couple of catches, so you know, I think that they're set up nicely as long as they can stay relatively healthy going forward. I think that they look good, and I think they'll be good. The Jets are the ones that I think losing Aaron Rodgers is definitely going to lower their ceiling, just because Zach Wilson hasn't proven that he's dependable yet. He looked okay in the absence of Aaron Rodgers in that game against Buffalo, so we'll see if he can build on that. If he can, then maybe losing Rodgers isn't that big of a deal. It's just an investment that didn't work out. But we'll see what happens with Mr. Zach Wilson. Again, he's got to prove he can be consistent going forward. He does have the weapons, though, to be consistent, so we'll see, you know, what's going on over there. He's got the wide receivers. He's got good running backs. You know, Breece Hall looked good last night, coming back from his injury from last year. Delvin Cook, you know, didn't look great, but you got to give him a little bit of a break. He's learning a new offense. I think as long as he stays healthy, you know, the next couple of weeks with some practices, you know, he'll get more involved in that offense. And, you know, him and Breece Hall will definitely probably split some of that workload between the two. So I think that they'll be fine. The problem is going to be the quarterback position and what Zach Wilson can do going forward. He has the tools now. He can't say he doesn't. He has everything he needs to be successful. He just needs to find a way to make himself successful with those tools. That will be end of my show today. Quentin will be back with me for the next episode. And we will talk about some of the NFL results from week 1, some of the surprises, some of the results that we thought would happen, and then we'll probably, now that the Major League Baseball wild card is really coming into focus and some teams are starting to separate themselves, we'll talk about that and see what that looks like going forward. For that, that's the end of the show today. I thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed. Please don't forget, if you have friends you like to recommend the show to, but they don't really listen to podcasts or whatever, we do post our episodes on Facebook. It's under, the profile is under Kevin is the first name, Quentin is the last name, Kevin Quentin on Facebook. We post our episodes on there every day or every time. We also post our episodes on a YouTube channel. It's called The Common Man's Take on Sports. And then if your friends do have access to podcasts or listen to podcasts, we're on almost every platform. So please look us up under The Common Man's Take on Sports. I thank you for listening. Hope you enjoyed the show, and I hope you return to listen some more. If you do listen, make sure you hit that like button on the episodes, and make sure that you subscribe, whether it's on Facebook, YouTube, or any of the podcast platforms. And we thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.